Hello, hello, hello. Can you just tell me whether my mic is working fine? I have turned the volume down a little bit, so I don't know if I've turned it down too much. Thank you, Danny. How are you doing, Danny? Welcome, Zooks. Huzzah! Not only was I on time, but early. Mike is great. Thank you. Early, wow. Yeah. I remember those days before I was married. I'm good, Zook. Thank you. How are you doing? My thoughts go out to Adam, who's one of our regulars, because he was taking a scout trip out today, and I think he's coming down towards the Neath alleyway. So yeah, the skies have opened up, and I hate to think how wet he's going to get, but all fun for the scouts, I'm sure. Hello, Crafty. How are you doing? Ooh, Pathfinder. All right, on the PC. Pathfinder Kingmaker, is it? I think I've got that one. I played it a little bit. Rain makes the scouts more fun, more mud. Yeah, for the scouts, not so much for probably the scout leaders and the volunteers, but I'm sure they're huddled away somewhere trying to stay out of the rain. So I will like to take this moment to apologize for the Podcraft over on the Crafty Minis channel released yesterday. I think the heat was getting to us because we were really kind of off the rails. And yeah, I've altered my microphone settings because I did notice on his podcast I was deafening the poor sod. He must have finished that podcast being like one of those sort of 70s rockers, you know, that have got hearing problems. Open up to you in the chat, jumping muddy puddles. No, that just makes me think of Peppa Pig because I've got kids young enough to have watched that, and yeah, that's trauma. The one after Kingmaker, already finished Kingmaker. Yeah, I liked Kingmaker. It was good. Crafty. No way, it was good. It was unhinged, our podcast. Wrath of the Righteous. I haven't played that one. I know Kingmaker, they had a lot of problems with the difficulty settings and all. Sometimes when you played it on normal, etc., some of the baddies were not really particularly easy to kill. So I probably hit that point and I was like, yeah, actually, I'll play an easier game. But yeah, yeah. So today, as you probably have read and hopefully seen in the description and the posts, etc., we will be trying to roll up some a crew for the 5 parsecs from home in the second half of this video. But for the first half, I'm going to be painting as usual. You know, I can't do all new things all in one episode. Crafty will testify to that. But this is a big step for me. I'm doing something new, you know, so it's you know quite traumatic. Bear with me. also, also a double header. I'm also going to be painting terrain today, so that's something you guys haven't seen me do. So yeah, provided I can find all the pieces for this particular building. Hmm, that doesn't look right. Okay, yeah, no, I found it. Owlcat, who released Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous, released Rogue Trader, and are working on Dark Heresy. Ooh, okay. Rogue Trader had good reviews. I've seen someone play that. I probably wouldn't play it myself, but yeah. Zukov, I disappointed myself. Why is that? Managed to stick to normal right until the last act before dropping down to difficult. Oh, see. Yeah, you let us all down now, Zukov. Great game, though. Maybe let down a bit in the last act, not just because it was hard. I found the whole game hard. When you meet the kobolds and you're like, oh my god, these are tough, then you know you got something to worry about. uh, so, yeah. Yeah, no problem, Danny. Yeah, I'll be around for, well, 2 hours anyway. So, yeah, you go and do whatever you need to do. All right, so terrain I'm painting up, I'm getting out the gold. So, what possibly could I be painting up in gold? I'm trying without my magnifying glass because I think I'm painting terrain, so I shouldn't really need it. But knowing my eyesight, I'll probably get it. I'm not going to say just as I was saying that I got it on the stonework, but I kind of got it on the stonework. I'm going to blame this brush. It's a bit knackered. But yeah. Hey, Crafty, you went to the UK Games Expo. You haven't mentioned it. Did it go okay? You enjoy? Did you survive mixing with the commoners? But yeah, something I would like to do. It maybe in another lifetime. Being around that many people would probably kill me. Hobbits do not leave their homes very often. Ah, right. That's a shame, Crafty. I was wondering why you hadn't mentioned it, but I was thinking like, should I mention it? Just in case it was terrible and you wanted to forget it all. See, now when I was painting this thing, so yeah, zoom out a bit. There you go. When I was painting this thing, I completely somehow forgot that one, it's got a little window up there, which I just did, and I forgot to do the inside of the windows somehow. I don't even know how I would forget to look inside it, but apparently I did. It says a lot about my painting, really, doesn't it? So I'm painting up with this like goldy color. Actually, this was the original color I used because this looks much more gold than the other one, but it'll do. I'll be muddying it up and making it look weathered anyway. So, like I've always said, terrain, I try not to do it too. I was going to say, I try not to do it too brilliantly, just try not to. But no, that sounds like an excuse. But no, I try not to make it look too brilliant because I like miniatures to be the star of the show and the terrain to kind of blend into the background. So that's kind of how I paint things. You said in another vid you don't like your terrain to overshadow your minis. Exactly what I was just saying, yeah. So you do quick paint, but you're underselling yourself. Oh, thank you. I know, Zukov. Scary. You really should see someone about that because, if you got a mind like me, you're in trouble. Uh, but no, that the paint job on this guy literally took me about I don't know, 20 minutes maybe. It's all dry brushing, just bringing it up each time. I know I should add like browns and all to add some sort of tonal changes and stuff, but again, I just want to keep things simple, especially like because I record stuff on camera. So really, if I had buildings painted up too vibrantly with too many colors, too many interesting bits, it's going to be harder for you to see the miniatures on the table because eyes going to be drawn to all this sort of busyness moving around. Yeah, crafty. Just pat the old boy on the head. Yeah, condescending whippersnapper. It would, yeah, something a little. It might need something. It might even be for me a little bit too plain, but we'll see. We'll get the majority of it done and then see what happens. Really. So while I'm doing this, rest in peace, Blanche. Who unfortunately passed away the other day. Going to be going to hit some people quite hard, that, because I know he was very much, what's the word I'm looking for, inspiration for a lot of people's stuff. So and a lot of people's youth that grew up with that era of Warhammer 40k. Yeah, it is very much so. It's funny because like he kind of went off the radar for a while, and hadn't heard about Blanche for a while, and then he came out with that paint set and all, and everybody was talking about him again. It was lovely. It was like finally he's getting some sort of credit for the work he had done. And then of course now passed, unfortunately. Just went up onto the stonework and I went. Yeah. Stuff from back in the day, the art that they used was phenomenal. It's not my style, like Blanche's stuff, but even I can't say that it wasn't phenomenal looking stuff. It's not an aesthetic that I'm particularly into, but it was a unique perspective, aesthetic. Yeah, we were just saying about that. It's quite a thing. And for any Buffy fans, of course, Anthony Head, just I think this morning or yesterday, passed away. So Rip Giles as well, which, wow, okay, that's a bit more my younger days, was Giles. So yeah, I bet, Danny, I bet a lot of people will be. It comes to something with my teenage daughters. When I said that Giles had died, they both of them. So I got a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old, or 14-year-old and a 19-year-old. And they were both like, "Oh, not Giles!" Giles was actually one of their favorite characters, so it was. I think it was quite hit quite hard with them. unfortunately, it's kind of getting to that age now when people I liked and watched growing up kind of dying. Prime Minister from Little Britain. I never watched Little Britain, but I do know he was the Prime Minister. See, I'm old enough to remember him from the coffee adverts. Oh God, was it Maxwell House? The dishy neighbour he was in the. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember that because I remember when I watched Buffy the first time, I was like, "Hang on, he's the dude from the coffee adverts." And of course, he did. I think 90s version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. He did or something. He was Frankenfurter apparently. Which, yeah, brave man to put on stockings and suspenders in front of a very large crowd. Of course, he was a decent singer. I quite liked his voice actually. He had a very chill voice. Thank you, Gamesburger. Gamesburger. That's an interesting name. Got a bit of a yellow tone to that wood. I'm not sure if I like it. Might throw another wash over it to dull back that yellow. I think I got another part of that somewhere. Where have I got the other bit? Just strangled myself on my headphones wire. Okay, there's like the pinnacle roof for it. Get the base color, some metallic. Is this a printed bit or where did you get it? Okay, so most of my scenery are buildings my brother bought from somewhere. Question mark where, but I'm guessing it might be Timu, judging by how long when he says he's ordered me something and the time it gets to actually get to me. I'm guessing it's somewhere like Timu. So the only thing about Timu is, of course, scale sometimes is a guesswork at best because I don't think they quite know what they're comparing the scale to. But yeah, a lot of them I think they're definitely 3D printed because I can see some of the layer lines on them, especially like places like inside this. If I can zoom in, there you go. You see the layer lines. So they're definitely 3D printed, and you see the texture on the base. Actually, you can see it a lot worse than I can see it. To my eye, it's not that bad, but yeah, on camera it looks very swirly. But I will be putting like mud down and what have you to cover a lot of the base, maybe even some flock. But yeah, my brother recently has started buying me loads of terrain. Not quite sure why, but I'm not going to complain. You know, I'm grateful to him for buying me terrain. Certainly will be needing it if I'm doing like more battle reports on the channel, etc. Some of the pieces, okay, I'm not going to say they are rip-offs of other companies, but some of them I kind of recognize. Like this one, kind of looks like someone else's work, but I'm not sure. Like you said, it's showing up a lot of the imperfections, but to the eye when you're playing on the table, you're not going to be able to see that. That looks perfectly fine. You're not going to be right up, literally. That would be touching your nose, so it's not going to be that close to you. But yeah, like I said, I'm not sure about some of them, whether they have maybe illegally copied certain things. I'm not sure. Some of them look familiar, but they could be just I've seen them around on other people's tables, and I'm thinking that they're kind of ripped off. Could very well be that. Excuse me, drinking them. Diner first. Looks like some good terrain that you could do a lot of different games with. That's kind of my my whole spiel about terrain is I try and keep it kind of neutral so I can use it in as much different things as possible. Unfortunately, the weather here is absolutely pouring it down, so I've been hand base coating them instead of spraying them, so they're a bit blotchy, but hopefully that'll just kind of add to the character. Unfortunately, there's lots of skulls on things, and that's kind of not my aesthetic, but I can see why they've got skulls on things, because people like skulls. Apparently, people in the future are going to really like skulls. Don't know whether to glue that bit on. It might be easier, but then you won't be able to get underneath, so no, maybe that'd be a bad idea. But those pegs are a little bit of a pain because they're stopping it from going down fully. Yeah, but it's quite patchy looking, but it's all right. Once I start doing dry brushing, you're not going to really see it. Camera shows off stuff that's invisible if you're for real. At least they excuse with pics of my minis. A Gothic ruin is a Gothic ruin to my mind. People shouldn't get copyright on the style of architecture. Just my opinion, though. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Unless it's an actual rip-off of an actual kit, which I wouldn't know because I don't follow, that sort of thing. But unless it's, an actual copy, you can't say that a Gothic building is, can be copyrighted because Gothic buildings were around long before GW came about. Blotchy is okay for ruins, in my opinion. They are ruins. That is very true. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to it. It's like these bits and nice arch. It's going to be kind of cool. I'll pick out some of the metal, rust effect, etc. Again, it depends on how far you want to push them up. Like there's a lot of metal on here, but whether I will pick them up as metal, because when things get blasted and blown up, they tend to look pretty grey and dusty looking. So, that's my excuse. But yeah, my brother orders me these things, and then it's like, here we are, and I'm like, which part did this belong to? And he's like, I don't know. So I end up with bits, and I have to try and figure them out like a jigsaw puzzle, which is quite fun. I'm assuming that piece goes. Not sure. I'm confusing myself now. All right, yeah. Okay, that piece will go on that piece. Okay. Does that piece go on that piece? Yes. Okay, so that's a smaller. Okay, so we can do a bit of dry brushing on that one. Small enough that I can get it on camera without sticking my paintbrush in your face. So I like this kind of Payne's Grey. Never heard of it before. I'm sure there's a reason why it's Payne's Grey and not some other grey, but it's like a slightly bluish tone to it. You'll see as I apply it, and it's kind of nice. Kind of like it. So I'll start, like I started off with the black tone, black color, and then this one is very dark, but it's not black, and like an overbrush. Well, you might not even see much of a difference here. It's actually darker than my black is. I must have used a tinted black by the looks. Oh well, we'll do like an overbrush of this, and then we'll go over with a brighter color anyway. We'll keep adding lighter greys until I get up to a point where I think, a bit like that other one, it looks pretty good. So yeah. Go on then. Seeing that me and Crafty spoke about this on his Podcraft the other day. What are your ideas on this AI miniature stuff that we were talking about? Because it was fascinating hearing from Crafty what they're doing with that. I'd never heard of it, but there you go. I have opinions, like everyone. But yeah, it was eye-opening to hear, especially Crafty's take on stuff. He's got a much more, should we say, bleak outlook on things than I do, I think. I try to be optimistic. But yeah. Yeah, you caught up on the Terminator. That was on the documentary, right? That's all you say on AI. Yeah. I'm too old to be phased by AI. By the time AI is powerful enough to do anything, I'll be too out of it to realize what it's doing. I'll need my AI nursemaid, Zukoff, man after my own heart, Crafty. Yeah. There's a lot of you guys around. No, I don't like AI, but I don't think it's going to be the world ender that some people seem to be thinking it's going to be. More because it affects people's livelihoods, and it it steals from people willy-nilly, etc. That's more my problem with AI, etc. But yeah, go and see the Crafty Minis podcast if you want to hear more about that, because we had a proper in-depth conversation. It was actually almost grown up. Even though the heat that day was melting me, so I really did not function well. And Crafty was just bringing up anything that he thought might crack me up on that day, I'm sure. Right, excuse the camera, shift for a minute. I'm going to try and shift it down a little bit. There you go. Excuse any motion sickness you might have got then. I'm just holding the model by where I just painted, so that's smooth movely. That was an interesting one. Right. So this is part of that. So really, I want to catch the same sort of highlights. So yeah, I do put the pieces together in order to try and catch the same highlights, etc. Because otherwise I'll end up with a line going across the thing. And that could be kind of weird when you put them all back together. Could really glue this piece to that piece. There's no reason why not really. I can get my hand under it. Zukov, AI makes me think of the people who got fined massively for downloading music or whatever, and now some companies can download the entire internet to produce content for a profit, and it's somehow fine. Anyway, off my soapbox. Yeah, mate. Yeah. It's okay if big business does it. It's not okay if you do it. That's the moral of the story. Strange that. Reach over and put my music back on. There you go. So yeah, strange when big corporate companies do these things and somehow they get away with it. It's weird, isn't it? It's almost like governments for the big corporations. Well, it is a painting stream, but as long as it's not too political or too anti anything, I'm open to anyone talking about stuff. Obviously, don't like people picking on people, but if you want to talk about stuff like AI, I don't think there's anyone really who will object to that. It's hard to see. It's hard to see anyone actually, unless you make money from it, anyone standing up and saying, "Yeah, it's going to be a brilliant thing." It's brilliant. I can't agree with that. I am fully anti-grey model. The computers are watching. Well, mine is because the camera's actually looking at my hands right now. But yeah, Crafty, you start to sound like you need a tinfoil hat. Just saying, mate. I'll get the girls to make you one if you want. My eldest is very craftsy. You have several. Yeah. Okay. I can see you rocking a pointed tinfoil hat. Trouble is, being as tall as you are, you probably get hit by lightning if you wear that thing too often, Crafty. Walker's Master, if you do not help AI, it will kill you in the future. It's one of those outlandish theorems. I like you, AI. You're amazing. Really like you. Always wanted to work for you, you overlords. Just saying, I'm standing up for you. Yeah, you never know. Maybe the robot overlords will like YouTube and I'll be able to, make a living from YouTube because the robot overlords like me. uh, like I said on the podcast, I think there's a lot of like, yes, it's not a great thing, AI, for what it does, but I think there's the same sort of reaction to any technology that's new. We kind of, flip out about it. Like, let's be honest, this AI is not AI. It's not an artificial intelligence which is thinking for itself. Like we talked about this too, Crafty. It's like a logistics program. It compiles answers on the internet, etc., and comes up with the most popular bullshit which someone has spouted off. It doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. But so I think artificial intelligence would be something a bit more intelligent than that. Something which will be able to solve problems, and yes, there is artificial intelligence, as in, like, there are cancer screening programs and stuff which are amazing because they think they're so accurate because they can look for things and see patterns in stuff that we don't see. But then, it's not artificial intelligence to me unless it can then also go and work out, a paint scheme for whatever, or, whatever. I think using the word artificial intelligence kind of is giving it grandeur a little bit at the moment. Though you may all disagree with me if you wish. Exactly, yeah. AI can only be an accident. Otherwise, it's programmed to say what it is. That's exactly it at the moment. I don't see it as an AI because it's working off its program. When it starts reprogramming itself, etc., then you start worrying. Like, there was that story though about that. Oh, what was it? There was some artificial intelligence program that was figured out they were going to shut it down, and it started trying to blackmail the programming crew. I don't know if it's true, but if it is, that's a bit more of a worry when the program's got like a survival instinct and it starts actually, yeah. Every so often, go outside in the real world, watch TV want to, and have a coffee and think away from your computers and get a big dog to sniff the crow shots. I don't like coffee. So you lost me at coffee. Danny, AI is an investment buzzword at the moment. Yeah, gamers and garners investors, same as cryptocurrency a few years ago. Yeah. I think me and you, Danny, are kind of on the same boat about this AI stuff at the moment. I'm not saying that we're not going to get it, and I think we're in trouble when we do. Because, let's face it, anything rational is going to think humans are a waste of space. Because generally speaking, we don't do a lot for the planet. So, yeah. That's a depressing thought, isn't it? Quite interesting when I can actually move away from this really dark grey and get some colour on this thing. Because at the moment, you're just watching me flick a brush over a dark thing and putting a dark colour on it, which is not that interesting for you guys. But hopefully the topics, keep you coming. That sounded wrong. Coming to the channel is what I meant. Jeepers. Yeah. Well, we will get cracking at making a character and maybe rolling up like what the first mission and all is going to be, etc. There's currently 3 people in chat, so each of you can get a crew member if you so wish. Am I getting the new 11th edition GW box set? You know, I was going to, but then I realized that I could buy probably a new kidney for that price, and thought better of it. Not that I need a new kidney, but you know, it's always good to have a backup. Technically, we've already got a backup because we've got two, but you know what I mean. You buying the 11th edition, Crafty? Wait for the abuse I'm going to get for saying that. Okay, so then I'm mixing in, what's this, light grey. That's a descriptive term. So I'm going to mix that into that base coat that I've just did. Looks quite drastic when you first mix it. But you can see the blue coming out, actually. I don't know if you can even thing, but you can see the blue of the grey coming out of that first paint now, as you add white or light grey. Don't think so. I'll spout GW crap on my channel in the hope I get given a freebie. That's true. You know, that's all you have to do. You know, just say this is the secret. You know that GW doesn't want you knowing, and you know maybe they'll send you a free box set. You know. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if GW was run by an AI. You know, just saying. Zukov, I wouldn't have got it anyway, but it just looks so much less than what Leviathan had. I would dread to think what the difference is in price per mini. It's kind of a trend with GW in it. You know, it's they're not a company that you go to thinking, I'm going to get a bargain here. You know, it's rare for you to look at a GW starter or beginner's box or whatever and feel like you're getting a bargain. Most of the time, you feel like, if you're lucky, you feel like I'm getting what I'm paying for. If you pick the wrong sort of set, you end up feeling like you've been robbed, literally beaten over the head and robbed, maybe. Yeah, I think there's less. The new orcs do look good, though. Yeah, orcs. How can you go wrong with orcs? GW, find a way. No, no, no. It is hard to go wrong with orcs. How you know? One of the few things I think GW do well are the orcs. I do enjoy my GW orcs, I must admit. That sort of animalistic, protruding jawline and, you know, all that MacGuffins. Yeah, that's not showing up much either. It's going to be an interesting paint job for you guys to watch this. It is slightly different, and I am slowly bringing up the colours. Hopefully by, I've got about another quarter of an hour. Hopefully I'll be able to get a bit more colour onto it so you'll be able to see something. Not like, okay, I started this stream with a black building and now I have a slightly less black building. Yeah, I just took the roof off it, or the second part of the building. There's a subtle difference, but yeah, it is a subtle difference. I'll add more of the light grey just to bring it up a bit more before I start knocking the ratio more to the light grey. Yeah, I have to take that off. Here, my finger holding it. I had a friend who took his minis, sprayed it black, and brought it up to colour. he had to explain to the judges that they were painted, not just a plastic grey. uh, yeah, that's a decision. Three color minimum. Yeah, grey, and white. There you go. That'd be three colors. Did they say different colors? You know, three colors minimum. Could you use the same color three times? Before you just painted the eyes, the eagle, and the base. That would not feel good, I wouldn't have thought, being told that you hadn't painted them. Especially if you spent any sort of time painting it. The only thing about dry brushing and overbrushing is I tend to get paint everywhere, so my computer is usually splattered with paint. I have to be careful my camera doesn't get splattered with paint too. And that would not be good. Getting a blob on the lens. Yeah, me and Crafty were talking about he's going to be entering a golden demon at some point. And I think Goblins and Aliens was also on about doing that. That's his kind of his goal at some point, is to enter that as well. So, you know. You have to have these sort of goals in mind. So I've been told. By Crafty mostly, actually, you know. Hello. Goblins and Aliens was the one who was trying to persuade me to do non-metallic metal. Yeah. It's like he's never watched my channel or something, because, you know, if he knew me, he knew I wouldn't do that. I will also have to apologize to Goblins and Aliens, because when we were doing our podcast, I completely blanked on his name, his channel's name. It was like Goblins and then I was trying to think, was it Goblins and Aliens? Aliens and Goblins? Was it more than one? Was it a plural? Goblins and Aliens, or Goblin and an Alien? And it was a real sort of brain fart moment. Can you see that lighter grey now? Yes, we're starting to get a bit of a contrast, which is nice. Because it's on the inside, this part. Not too worried about it being a bit rough looking. Although that's the thing about going gradually up in colour. It doesn't shop as much as if I jump too quick. So what are you guys painting at the moment? Anything interesting? Now, if you say Games Workshop miniatures, I will warn you that Crafty will probably throw his water at the screen. Someone at Victrix is really earning their wages right now. Dark Age Irish out. Dark Age Welsh soon. I know, we need my Dark Age Welsh. Frankish infantry and cavalry to follow, and some new Romans. Are you into your Roman miniatures, Zukov? I know you're into your historicals. So the Romans, is that a buzzword for you? So move over to 3mm tanks. 3mm tanks. An infantry. What the hell is the infantry? 3mm tank. Bloody hell. They must be tiny. Is that for a game, or is that just you like handling little men? What I'm going to do, I'm going to glue that onto that piece so that I can get the strokes. They won't show up too bad. For a divisional level game called Spearhead. And yes, I enjoyed Little Man. Each to their own, Crafty. I'm not here to judge. Zukov, I'm desperately trying not to get into a new era, and Trix is going to bring me down. Might do something in skirmish scale. I can't be getting a new massive horde army. Must not do that. I don't know, Zukov. Sounds like you're already talking yourself into it. Yeah, small scale. There's something to be said for small scale. You know, it takes a lot less room to I knew that was coming. Crafty. He's taking the mick out of my height again, people. That's not nice. That's not nice. That's mean, that is. Says the troll from Mordor. What was I saying? See, threw me off now. He does this. Talking about playing with his little man. Yeah, small scale. Yeah, there's something to be said about it. You know, storage, terrain. You can make the tables make a bit more sense because, you know, something with a 24-inch range or whatever suddenly feels like, yeah, that's a decent distance. That is, you know, as opposed to when it's played on 28mm. Something's got a 24-inch range. It's not really that far when you kind of figure it out. Just glue this together so it's not keep coming off. I might do the same with this guy. Glue of choice. See, super glue. These are 3D printed, so you do need super glue and not that plastic stuff. And try to let that glue set a little bit before I start dry brushing it. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with the bristles on my brush being all stuck together, which is a trick I usually get done. See, I'm one of those people who wipe off super glue my fingers. For some reason, they tell you not to do that. Okay. Try and get this done. And then we will start looking about rolling up a crew. So anyone who is about, there's 4 of you at the moment. Tell me if you want to be involved in the rolling up of a character, because if you don't, I won't pester you to roll dice or use a generator, etc. Yeah, small scale I prefer, especially if I want to play large scale battles like Arnhem, Kharkov. I can field an entire Panzer division in roughly 31-inch bases. Yeah, exactly. It just makes more sense when you start having vehicles. You know, like when you think a tank can shoot for miles, and if you do it in 28 mil, etc., it just does not look right that you can't shoot across the table. Need to oil that door. My daughter tried to sneak past like a ninja. I have no knowledge at all about the system and any disadvantage. That's me with most games. I'm happy to try new things, but I don't want to slow anything down. Mate, you won't be slowing anything down, especially for rolling up a character and a crew. We will see. We will probably lead on to doing missions, etc., live on the stream. But for now, let's just roll up a crew, and I can kind of teach you it as we go, because I think that's the best way to learn most new games. Find someone who knows how to play a game, and then get them to teach you it as you go and as you play. I'd much rather learn a game that way than sit down and have them explain a game to me for like an hour. I'd rather jump into it and then tell me what I can do as I'm doing it. I'm a very sort of that sort of teacher and that sort of learner. Let's face it, most games these days are very similar in mechanics. You know, there are odd things which are different, but in general, if you've played one war game or miniatures game, you got an idea. You've already got a step up on most people. So no problem there, Zukoff. I'll explain everything. I'm rolling up a character's easy. What did I just stuck my... That's me not looking. I just stuck it in the gold. Let's messy that up a bit. That was interesting. Okay, another couple of minutes. Right, I'm going to quickly chucking the even lighter grey on just so I can show you some sort of... This is what I got done during our live stream. Because at the moment, you can't see now. Yeah, that's a bit of a jump. Where's that Payne's grey gone? Like I said, if you haven't got a D100, maybe get a random number generator and just type in 1 to 100. Because one thing I do like about 5 parsecs is, although the game is actually a 6-sided dice game, character creation is largely a D100, which is kind of nice. Now, because we'll be making 6 people, obviously there's only 3 people now in the chat, so we'll be able to... Everybody can have one if they want one, and there'll be one left over for Adam, because I know Adam's busy, but he tends to turn up to these things. Yeah, D100. I love D100s. I'm a D100 fan, so yeah. I got too many D100s. Whoa, that is jump. Okay, yeah, maybe me trying to quickly show you something is not proved very good. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Never mind. I can always grime him up. Oh shit, you can't even see it. But yeah, I kind of jumped way ahead of where I would usually be at this stage. The old Inquisitor 54mm game was so good. I remember that being a thing, and I remember thinking, like, they are huge. I used to think it was like massive, and I couldn't figure out what they were doing releasing a game that had figures so big. And well, ultimately, I think that was the problem with the game. I don't think the game was the problem. It was the fact that the miniatures were so big. No one's terrain worked for it because, yeah, I've heard a couple of people say that the game was actually good. Yeah, too young to get. That was the problem, wasn't it? It was the miniatures were fairly expensive, I would say, and you only got like one miniature, and it was like, I'd rather get like a box set of, I don't know what you whatever you were into, Marines or Orcs or Space Dwarfs if you had taste. You know, Crafty likes his Space Dwarfs. Again, small men, see. Used to love reading about it in White Dwarf. See, oh God. Again, another thing, I used to buy White Dwarf years and years ago. And I think I just chucked all the magazines when I lost interest and when I didn't particularly like the games. So yeah, there you go. It's starting to show up a little bit, and the that bluey color is starting to die down a little bit. It's always a moment to worry about when you first put on one of the highlights. You start thinking, shit, I've overdone it. Still think I might have overdone this, but I wanted to show some coloration. Otherwise, it feels like you guys have just sat around for an hour watching me fiddle. Okay, so I don't go too far back into the shadow. I honestly think these buildings, when you looked at them from any sort of distance when you're playing the game, you're not going to see into that sort of down into here. So I keep that kind of very dark. Right, let me wash my brushes and everything and get myself cleared away, and then we'll start thinking about. Still have some of the old Inquisitor miniatures. They must be worth a small packet now, I would have thought. Because it was kind of one of those rare GW things that failed to really ignite. So I would have thought the miniatures now must be worth a bit for those collectors who, you know, can't live without their GW stuff. Tech Caprice Mini for the Inquisitor was particularly nice. All I can remember is, I can't even remember, was she one of the assassins or something? Like a strange ponytailed, like, woman doing some weird gymnastics stuff. Does that sound like something, or was that just something I dreamed of? That was the assassin. Okay. Almost got myself into trouble there, thinking I was imagining leather-clad women doing weird things, but no, there was a strange assassin miniature. I do remember that. Yeah, I thought it was, but right. Let's move my paints and my water. I'll be right back. I'm just going to mute you for 1 second. Okay, can you hear me now? I've turned my mic back on. I'm hoping you're back with me. Or I'm back with you, even. I think I need to change my tablecloth. I've got something on that, I suppose. Okay, no problem, Danny. If you're interested in, sort of how character creation goes, play it back or whatever. But so Zukov's in. Are you in Crafty? And don't worry, Danny, if in the future you do want to play it, we're going to have characters lying around. So let me just find the sheets that I've written. I'm hoping. Ooh, is that going to be? Let me knock the light down a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there'd be plenty of characters. So if we do play through like a mission, etc., there'd be people around. Don't worry. Okay, so first of all, ship name. Okay, let's think of a ship name. I've already got one, so seeing that I'm running this, I am gonna call it Edraig. Now, any guess what that might actually be our ship's name? If you know any Welsh, you might be able to guess that one. Okay, let me get the book. So, do I need to move the camera a little bit? Okay, there might be a little bit banging for a second while I raise the camera, because I think I might need to. Yep. Getting insider looks at my watch there. Might need to also play around with the zoom again, won't I? Oh, definitely. Okay, 1 minute. I have to figure out if I can do this while while I'm live streaming. Can I change the focus on my camera? It's exciting viewing for you guys. Mine, you're not loading up. Thank you. So yeah. Camera not available. Why are you not available? Why are you not available? It's because I'm using you for YouTube, isn't it? Okay. Okay, I'm moving the camera back then, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I was trying to get it so that you got a bit more of a better view of the entire book, but yeah. See, Crafty knows. Don't you just hate that? All right, that's way out of focus now, isn't it? Is that okay? Can you kind of read that, or is that out of focus? The big notebook's out. Yeah. I got paper coming out of my chest of drawers. Okay, can you? Okay, you can kind of see that. Yeah, it's not too blurry, I don't think. Okay, so 5 parsecs. We're going to have 6 crew members in our crew. And Edraig, by the way, it means the dragon in Welsh, so that's why we're naming our ship Edraig. Or Edraig Goch, if we wanted to be the red dragon, which would be the big dude on our flag, but that's the thing. Okay, selecting a crew. Okay, so you can do sort of the standard method of rolling up a crew is 3 humans, 2 humans or primary, 2 more humans or primary aliens, and 1 bot. But we're going to do sort of the random generated crew because I think that's more fun for you guys and for myself. So the only thing that we're going to use the add-on book for, this one, is for rolling up a race, because they've added a couple of races in this book, which is quite a bit more fun. Obviously, if you've got more aliens, more fun. Until they invade. So where is it? So I'll roll up the first character because that'd be probably easier. Then you kind of get an idea of how this is going to work, and then you guys can roll up the next couple. Okay, can you see that table? You can. Brilliant. Okay, so what race is our captain? So the first character we roll up is a captain. So the white is the 10s. So 79. Okay, whoa. I screwed that up. Sorry, guys. 79 is for what race? And we look at this page. 79. I'm a primary alien. There you go. So I am one of the alien races. And now I shake on this table. Hey, it's going so well. 51. A precursor. Okay, so we've got a precursor as our captain. Now, precursors are kind of like, how would I describe them? Sort of alien race which has been around for a lot longer than man, and yeah, sort of transhuman-esque. I'll read actually what they say about the precursors now. So I'm a precursor. So that'll be in this book. Ah, jeepers. I'm going to keep hitting that camera. Are you still with me, guys? Because, I know this is fun. So, yeah, the art is so-so for the book. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. So, graceful and refined alien humanoids who were traveling the stars when other species were still lingering in caves. Precursors have the following advantages. Because of their lifespan, supplies greater opportunity for past experiences. If a precursor is the subject of a character event, you may roll twice in order to find out what happened. So this doesn't mean anything to you, but we will keep note of it. So notes, roll twice for character events. So because they've been there, done that, they're kind of used to it and they get more choice of what to do. Okay. So that's pretty much the basics. So their basic stats are, they got 1 on their reaction. So reaction is, do you act in like a quick phase or a slow phase, or standard phase, I suppose they call it. So you have to roll on a d6, a 1 or under, so the number or under, in order to act in the quick phase. So with a 1, obviously, it's not likely to happen. It's got a 5-inch range. We've got a combat of 0. Got a toughness of 2, which is so-so, and a savvy of 0. So savvy is kind of your knowledge, your understanding of stuff, sort of, working on computers, turning off terminals, anything which needs a little bit of knowledge. Can you just acknowledge that you can hear me? Because I've just banged my keyboard and I'm not sure if I turned my sound off. Hello? Uh-oh. Oh, bloody hell. Thank you, Crafty. I was terrified then that I turned off. Okay, brilliant. Okay, thank you. Okay, now, so to begin with, leaders start with one luck point. Just because they're the leader, they get 1 luck point. So we're going to add luck point 1. Next, we have to roll up a background for our precursor. So 42. So if we look at 42, he's from a wealthy merchant family. Okay. So background, wealthy merchant, which gives him 2d6 credits to start the game. So that's pretty good. Yeah, it would. Yeah, I completely. Precursors, there are other races which make me think of a lot of the people from Mass Effect. So yeah, you will see that as it plays, hopefully. All right, so he starts with 7 credits. So we're going to quickly... Now, credits is shared amongst the crew. So I'm going to put the 7 credits here on our crew table. Then we got motive table. Well, why am I shaking 26? 92. Okay, so his motivation is, if I push that to order. Okay, so motivation of order, which gives us a patron. Okay, so a patron, I always want to say Patreon because I'm so used to YouTube. We will write down, did I not write down patrons? Okay, we'll write down patron down here for a minute. So we've got 1 patron. So that's a person who will find us work and generally get us better pays, etc. And he also gives us a story point. Now, a story point is something that we can use to change the results of a lot of like the things that happen to us during the game. So we've got 1 story point. Finally, what type of class or precursor are we? A 1. We are a working class precursor. So he's been getting around, just doing odd jobs, working the hard work. Not what I pictured for a advanced dude, but you know. So he gets +1 savvy and +1 luck. Okay, so +1 to his savvy. What I didn't bring in with me is a rubber, so we're gonna just scribble it out. +1 and +1 luck. Now, I think, if I remember right, only humans can have more than 1 on their luck. Let me just double check that. Yeah, they're the only creatures that can have more luck. So unfortunately, the precursor loses out on that extra luck. If he'd been a human, he could have had it. But unfortunately, no such luck. Okay, gears and equipment. We will come to that after, because we have to roll up the other characters before we get to that point. So, does someone want to roll up the next character? We'll have to think of a name for them too. Go on. I'm going to, if Zukov wants to get involved, I'm going to volunteer Zukov to roll up the next character for me. So if you could roll a D100 or 1 to 100 randomizer. You got 35. Okay, so you are a baseline human, Zukov. That sounds like an insult, doesn't it? You're a baseline human. So you're a human. Gold paint everywhere. Okay, so after that, we have to write down your stats. So a human has got a reaction of 1 also. It's got a movement of 4, so you're slightly slower than a precursor. You've got a combat skill of 0. You've got a toughness of 3, so you are slightly tougher than a precursor. Is that right? Okay. And savvy of 0. Okay, so now we have to roll up for your background. Okay, so again, 1d100, Zukov, to see what background you come from. Yee. Just not daring. 56. Okay, you are from a subjugated colony. Okay, on an alien world. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so you're a subject. I spelled that wrong, have I? No, I haven't. Gated colonist. That's nice. You were you're on an alien world, and you're being used for well, hopefully nothing too bad. Okay, so for that you get one gadget. Okay, so we're going to add that to our equipment pile. So we got one. Let me put it in the stash. One gadget. You must have stole it while you were escaping. Yeah. And shake 1d100 again, or generate 1d100 to see your motivation. Like, I would imagine your motivation is to get the hell off that planet, but you never know. Got paint everywhere. Yeah. 43. Truth. Okay. I'm not quite sure how you're going to find the truth in there, but there you go. All right, so we gain one rumor and one story point with truth. So we got 2 story points and 1 rumor towards our quest. So I'll discuss that after. Your class. So you're a truth hunting subjugated colonist. So yeah, 1d100 again. Turn myself up in my headphone speakers. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the truth of who sold the colonists out to the aliens. Yeah, that's a hook. I've got my camera at a funny angle. There you go. 55. Okay, so your class on your subjugated world. You're a petty criminal. Okay, yeah. Okay, you've rolled up a very interesting guy here. A petty criminal on a subjugated alien planet who wants the truth. Maybe like a scoundrel, you kind of, you got a heart of gold. All right, so that gives you a +1 to your speed. So now actually you've got 5 speed, so you're up to the same speed as a precursor, which is pretty good actually. All right, so what I'm going to do is in the notes, I'm going to write your name, Zukov. Beats. As if whenever you're around, whenever we do play this game, you can take control of that guy. If you can think of a name while we go over to Crafty and get Crafty to roll up his character, and as soon as you can think of a name, you can shout it out to me, and I'll write his name for you. You can't have Han Solo. Okay, Crafty, your turn. D100 to see your crew members' race. 97. Strange creature. I've always said strange creature then, strange character. Which, quite accurate actually. Just saying. And you have to roll 100 a D100 again to see what kind of strange character you are. Oh man. That couldn't have been more accurate if we tried. Alexei. Okay. Sorry, you did say 67. Okay, you are primitive. Oh, wow. They know you so well, Crafty. All right, so you're a primitive. Uh, uh, okay, let's try and find primitive. Inhabitants from a technological regressed world sometimes find it difficult to shed their backward ways. However, being handy with a blade has its uses. Okay, so you've got the same stats as a baseline human, but you're from a regressed colony. 3 toughness, 0 savvy. Okay. Okay, so one of the notes for your type of thing, because you're a primitive, you cannot benefit from gun sights. So cannot use gun sights. Use sights. And you can't shoot over 8 inches. You're nearsighted. All melee weapons count as elegant, though. So, yeah, I'll discuss what elegant means. But I think it's the one where you can re-roll any ones in melee. So, yeah, that's good. Melee. Elegant. I will write these up a bit better when I get a chance. Your background is always primitive or regressed world. Okay, so yeah. You can roll twice on motivation and receive the benefits of both rolls. Okay, so there are bonuses to being a regressed primitive. Ow! Okay, so okay, so you get 2 motivation rolls. Okay. Oh, that is so funny. All right, so background, it says you have to be from a regressed or a primitive world. Okay, so that gives you +1. If I push that up, primitive regressed world, it gives you +1 to your toughness. So you've got toughness of 4 now, which is like the number to beat in order to inflict damage on you, etc. 89 and 12. Hang on, man. Hang on. Toughness and 1 low-tech weapon. Okay, again, we'll keep track of that. 1 low-tech weapon. Okay, 89. So this is for motivation. So this is what you get the 2 rolls on. So 89 is, can you see that? Power. Okay, so yeah, so you're from a regressed world. So your motivation is power. Oh, great. You're a power hungry dude. So you get 2 XP to start with, but you also start with a rival because of your power crazed ways. So we're going to add 1 rival. And you also shook a 12. So fame and power. Oh, wow. You're a YouTuber. Okay, so your fame and power, it gains you 1, us 1 story point. So I'm going to have 3 story points. Thank you for the story points. Your character is just a complete story point. All right, so if you roll 1d100 again for your class. That's going to be funny if you roll something like a computer analyst or something. I'll be the most Neanderthal, most famous Neanderthal. Yeah, yeah. 99. Okay. So, can I push the book up that high? 99 is scavenger. Well, that makes sense. So, a scavenger. What does a scavenger get? All right, you gain 1 rumor and 1 high-tech weapon. One high-tech weapon. That's You must have been on your regressed world when you found your high-tech weapon and it made you the king amongst your people. So we gained 1 more rumor. So we've got 2 rumors towards our quest already. Oh, that is funny. It's like they know you, Crafty. Damn. I haven't laughed so much in ages. That's funny. Okay, so I'll roll up crew member 4, and then you 2 can roll up the other 2. Okay, so that's tickled me. That's okay. So we've got a human, and so we have to shake it. Let's do his baseline stats. So reaction 1, 4 movement, 0 combat, 3 toughness, and 0 savvy. 1980s repairman hit the TV and it works. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what background does our bog standard human have here? 36. He comes from a low mega city class. Okay, low mega city. Okay, so he might have come from Necromunda. All right, so he's got 1 low-tech weapon to bring with him to the crew. So we've got 2 low-tech weapons that we can check out. Your name is Arcanum. Arcanum. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Arcanum. Wouldn't want to get caveman angry with me. And motivation 95. Order. So he's he's lower class mega city background who wants to bring order. Okay. So that gives him 1 patron, or us 1 patron, and 1 story point. So we've got 4 story points, which is growing quite nicely. And finally, what class of person is he? 5. Working class. Okay. Kind of makes sense if he's from a lower class mega city. Knocks up his savvy by 1. So he's got 1 savvy. And what else? Gives him 1 luck point. Okay, so that is him done. So I'm keeping track of the savvies because they'll help us out when we get equipment later on. It sounds like I can hum the intellectual conversation. Well, because you're rolling up 2 characters, we'll give you the choice of which one you want to play, So, yeah, I meant to think of names for my dude. So he's a working class mega city person. My brain has gone blank. We'll just give him a Lucas Ramon. Lucas Ramon. Okay, so then it's over to clearly it's going to be Arkham. Yeah, maybe it's an Egyptian name. That sounds like he could be an Egyptian pharaoh. All right, over to you again, Zukov, if you want to roll up for this dude. See what we can get to go with our with your Alexei, the subjugated colonist who wants to find the truth of who ratted out his colony, who's a petty criminal, who's teamed up with a precursor, a primitive man, a kind of bog standard lower mega city dude, working class. 5. Okay, you're a basic human again, I'm afraid. But you'll get to choose between these two if you want, and then this one and Alexei, and you can see which one you rather. Okay, so we go over to background. It's neither with rolling up characters, to be honest. It's kind of, high or low, it doesn't really matter. Okay, if you can roll for background. I'll fill in his base stats. We do that. $44. Okay, you are from a frontier gang. Okay. Frontier gang. Okay, that gives you +1 to your combat skill. Always going to be useful. And if you could roll again for your motivation. I've definitely provided the less than least spice to this crew. You do sound like you might be from some, from Jakku, is it, or whatever? One of those Tatooine, maybe. Okay, your motivation is survival. Makes perfect sense. So survival. That gives you +1 toughness. All right, we've got someone who's going to be a good fighter anyway. Your toughness and your combat skill have gone up. So yeah, you're definitely a person who can handle themselves. Now we have to shake for your class table. Now we're going to cover that just in case it influences you. Now it's going to be quite funny if the class you roll up is like artist or something. That'll throw the character. That'd be. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it could be graffiti artist, maybe. Okay, you're a troubleshooter. Okay, that's even worse. You're a frontier gang member whose motivation is survival, and you're a troubleshooter for them. Are you a hitman by any chance? That sounds like you're a hitman. Okay, so that gives you +1 to your reaction. You just pretty much rolled up the perfect beginner character. That knocks up your reaction by 1 and gives you a low-tech weapon. Okay, so yeah, you like breaking kneecaps by the looks as your mo. Yeah, got a feeling you might get on with the caveman. You both like hitting things very hard. Okay, Crafty, you can roll up the last crew member. Wow, they're a motley crew. While you're doing that, I just wanted to check something. Not yet. Go on out, roll something interesting now, Crafty. Sukov wants another go. I don't mind, as Arkham is a winner for me. There you go, Sukov. If you wanted to roll another one up, you can. Or if you're happy choosing between those two, I'll roll up the last one. It's up to you. Otherwise, a 2. All right, okay. Go. Otherwise, a 2. I wonder what you meant there. You rolled a 2. I'm assuming that meant. Yeah. Okay. We'll. So your baseline human, we're rolling up. I've got to go for my gang hitman. Sounds like you got your person. All right, Zukov. Okay, so that's going to be your character. So you're going to have to think of a name for that guy now as well. So you're a borderline human. You're baseline human. Sorry, Crafty. I didn't mean to call you a borderline human. Combat, toughness, savvy. Okay, if you can roll D100, or you can give me the free D100 rolls if you want at the same time, Crafty, and I'll. That might be actually a better way of doing it. Cray. Wow. On the nose. Do you have a brother somewhere, Cray? Okay, so you're 76. Oh, nice. Okay, so 76 is you're from an orphan utility program. So orphan, nice. So you grew up in an orphanage. You got a patron and 1 story point. So we got 5 story points. That is really good. And we also get 1 patron. So we're going to start the world we're going to start on. We're going to have 3 patrons to begin with, which is pretty cool. Okay, your motivation 99 is freedom. This orphanage was no normal orphanage, I'm guessing. Which gives you 2 extra XP. And finally, 34 for your class. Okay, so you escaped the orphanage and become a mercenary. That is nice. +1 combat skill. Okay, we're getting another one. It's got a decent combat. And 1 military weapon. Which is nice. Sorry. My puppy's waking me up early. So, okay. so, I'm assuming you're sticking with Captain Caveman Crafty, unless you wanted to swap it over to one of the other two that you rolled up. Oops. Yeah, no, I think that's probably what you're going to stick with. That's what I was trying to cross. Okay, so we have to now roll up. Yeah, the orphan is called Chinstrap. Okay. Chinstrap. Interesting choice of name. Okay, so we start off with 3 rolls on the military equipment. Right, but for each crew member that had an increase in their savvy, so we have 2 people who increased their savvy, we can knock that up to high-tech equipment. This is nice. Thanks for dropping by, Danny. Good luck in work. Okay, so because we had get 2 savvy, we can knock up the military equipment to high-tech. So we're going to start with 2 high-tech pieces of equipment. We already had 1 through the backgrounds. So we've got 3 pieces of high-tech equipment. We get 3 rolls on low-tech. So we're going to have 6 rolls on low-tech. We're going to have loads of equipment to start with. We get 1 roll on gear. Okay, 1 gear. And 1 roll on gadgets. We've already got 1 gadget, so that'd be 2 gadgets. And 1 credit per crew member. Start the game with 13 credits, which actually isn't terrible for this game. Right. Let's roll up what equipment we're getting, and then you guys can decide who gets what. So we've got 1 military weapon. So military weapon, 59. A needle rifle. Who do you reckon is going to get the needle rifle out of the 6 people? I reckon maybe someone like a needle gun. Who sounds like they would use a needle gun? Oh, if it's a blow dart, maybe your character, Crafty. But anyone got any ideas before I give it to someone? Okay. Decent hitman weapon, unless anyone objects. No, that sounds good to me. Which one? There you go, crate. Okay, you get the needle rifle. We'll look at the stats afterwards because they're on a different page. So that was the military weapon. Right, so we got 3 high-tech weapons. 37. A beam pistol. All right, well, I'm going to give that the precursor because it sounds like a sort of weapon that a advanced human might have. Then we have 22. A military rifle. Oh, sorry, 22 is not a military rifle. Hand laser. Maybe that'll go to Alexi. I think a hand laser sounds like something that a petty criminal might wield. So we've got 1 more high-tech piece of equipment. So I'll cross that out. 40. Another beam pistol. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think do we want to give the Neanderthal man, although he did have that one piece of high tech equipment which he found. So yeah, let's give it the beam pistol to Crafty's caveman. That's the artifact that he found, which rose him above the other primitives. All right, we've got 6 rolls on low tech. Okay, we got a load of rolls. All right, so 61. Okay, we got a colony rifle. He uses it as a club. All right, colony rifle. We'll give. No, he hasn't got a weapon yet. We'll give Lucas Ramon the colony rifle, which is kind of a weapon, kind of a middling. 100, a brutal melee weapon. I think we might have an idea who might be having the brutal melee weapon, Mr. Caveman. The skulls of your enemies. 60, a colony rifle. Okay, who hasn't had a weapon yet? Chinstrap hasn't had a weapon, and he's the mercenary, so we'll give him the colony rifle. So that's the third one. 3 items. 71, a shotgun. Okay. Everybody's got a weapon now. Who are we going to give the shotgun to? A shiny rock stick. I was thinking maybe it was a stick that you just dipped in your own fetal matter and you just beat people with it. Who are we going to give the shotgun to? Any ideas from anyone? We could give it to the precursor, but it doesn't seem much of a precursor weapon to me. We could give it to Alexei, because he hasn't got a rifle. So Zhukov's already got a needle rifle, so we can't really give it to Zhukov's character. Maybe give it to Alexei. I think maybe might be an idea, because you're allowed 2 rifles, 1 pistol, and a melee weapon. That's kind of what you're allowed. So if that thing's anything. Yeah, wasn't Alexei a petty criminal? He was a petty criminal, so yeah, shotgun does sound about right, doesn't it? Probably sawn off and everything. So I think we've got one more roll, if I remember right, on the low tech. 93, a blade. Okay, I'm gonna shout this one out. I reckon that Cray should get the blade. He sounds like a dude who'd carry a needle rifle and a blade. Sounds like a shady geezer, Yoda. Zhukov. I wouldn't trust him too far. All right, so we've got 2 gadgets and 1 gear left. Okay, so we do the gear next. 21, a camo cloak. Ooh, do you know what? If I can make the decision for us, I reckon the camo cloak should go to the shady dude. It sounds like something that Cray would have, actually. So we give you camo cloak. blend you into the shadows a bit there, Zukov. It's really not painting your guy in a good picture here, is it? And finally, 35 of the gear. Yep, 35. A concealed blade. I reckon. You know who's going to have a concealed blade? I reckon Chinstrap would have a concealed blade. Just the name. And gadget. So we've got one gadget. What gadget have we got? A 99. A stim pack. Okay, so a gadget, no particular person has to carry that. It can be just chucked in our stash. And it's kind of like everyone can use, well, one person can use it and then it's gone, but everybody's got the option to use it. I'm going to rub all that out, don't worry. Okay, so our final thing that we have to roll up is our ship. So, Zukov, if you want a roll, we'll generate 1 to 100 number, and let's see what ship we're starting with. It's a very important roll. Just pointing it out to you, Zukov. You know, don't mess this up now, boy. We're going to end up floating in space in this thing. The Idraig. $55. A battered mining ship. Okay, that's kind of cool. So we're a mining ship. Not just a mining ship, a battered one. So with our battered mining ship, how much debt do we owe for our battered mining ship? So this is one of the lovely things of this game is that you start off owing money for the spaceship that you have. So 1d6 plus 20 is, yeah, it's about a mid-range sort of bad one for how much we owe. So 24 credits we owe on, here's our debt. Did I not write down? Okay, I'll write over here. 24. Just really off the edge of the screen here. Yeah, so yeah. All right, debt. So we've got a debt of 24 credits. Nice. We've got 35 hull points for our ship. So that's pretty good. That's a fairly tough vehicle. But its trait is it's a fuel hog of a vessel. So yeah, it uses a fuel hog. When traveling to a new world, the fuel hog costs an increased 1 credit. Okay, so it's a gas guzzling mining ship. Sounds about right, actually, doesn't it? For a mining ship, you don't picture them being particularly smooth and efficient. So, yeah, that's the basics of rolling up a character. What do you guys think of the character creation? Do you like it? Is it engaging? There's only Zukov and Crafty left in the conversation, so yeah. Yes, no one expects the mining vessel. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think that it gives you so much to work with, the character creation on the game. You can kind of already see who the characters are, what they're, where they're from, what they're up to, why they're doing stuff, etc. It's quite a fun way of doing it. Plus, of course, we'll be rolling up missions maybe next week because I just noticed the time. I like it. Didn't Alexi have a thing where he stole a high-tech bit of equipment, or was that included? Yeah, that was included in our in the crew manifest, which we divvied up amongst them. That's the thing in this game. You divvy up your equipment amongst the crew. Yeah, it's a fun way of. It kind of tells the story without you really having to come up with much of it, which is quite fun. Yeah, not too complex. It's pretty simple, to be honest. Once I get into explaining the rules of how you actually play them, it's pretty easy. But like I said, I'll have to be next time because I've kind of run out of a bit of time this time. But if you guys would want to, like, I would carry on this, and we'd roll up the missions that were offered, because with the patrons, we can send people out to look for work, and for each patron we can get better jobs offered to us. So we got 3 patrons on the current planet that we're on, and we've got 1 rival, which is a bit unfortunate, but 1 rival shouldn't be too bad because chances of them interrupting our plans are unlikely. But like I said, it's really up to you guys. Like, we could leave it at that. We rolled up characters. You've learned how to roll up characters, and that's that's where we could leave it. Or we could, next week we could go on to do actual, maybe a mission. Definitely rolling up what missions we're getting offered and what jobs we can do, etc. Let me know what you think in the comments. Oh, not in the comments, in the whatever that thing is, but it's chat. That's the one. Put it there, nice and focus. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind. Maybe like next week, because there's a little bit more that we need to do, like roll up what jobs we can look for. So pre-game, we have to roll up what the planet is that we're on. We have to assign jobs to each person and what they're going to do while we're on planet, etc. So you can find out like whether we can send one person, say, to go and find jobs, while another person can go and salvage equipment, while another one can like try and find out where our rivals are, etc. There's a whole like game before you play the game. That's one of the things I quite like about 5 Parsecs from Home, is there's a lot to do off the table before you actually get to fight anything, which I quite enjoy. Okay, well, thank you for coming out and checking this out, and we'll probably carry on next week. I'll see what other people say as well, but yeah, I can't see why we wouldn't. Definitely do a bit more painting. I'm sorry that the painting did not turn out great, because it was just highlighting black with dark grey and black, but it's kind of what I got done. You can kind of see that there is highlights starting to build on it. I just went a little bit quicker than I wanted to, knocking it up to the next highlight, because I wanted to get something on camera. But yeah. Oh, it's fun. We rolled up some interesting crew there. Half of them are miscreants, and the other half are, cavemen. But yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, if that's it, I will bid you a good night, and I hope that you guys have a good week until next time. Goodbye from me, Welsh Miniature Board Gamer.